Good morning. I'm excited to be here with you all to celebrate the legacy of Dr. King this morning. My name is Andrea Gamboa, and I'm a nationally board certified social studies teacher at Foster High School in Tukwila. And I'm humbled to be immersed in my 12th year of teaching. So for those of you that don't know, Tukwila is located directly southwest of Seattle. It's the home of the South Center Mall. It's directly north of the SeaTac Airport. It's a beautiful, thriving, and diverse community full of immigrants and ethnic groups and taco trucks and halal meat markets, ethnic grocery stores. Foster, where I teach, is the only high school in a 5-school district, and I work with amazing young people. I walk the halls of my school, and it mirrors the future of our nation. I hear many languages other than English spoken every hour of the day. My students are Muslim. They are undocumented. They are refugees. They're not just bilingual, they're multilingual. They are hard workers, they're athletes, and they are all Americans. 9 out of 10 students in my school are students of color. 70% self-report and receive free and reduced lunch, even though I know these numbers in actuality are much higher. My students are no strangers to struggle, oppression, subjugation, racism, and obstacles, and despite this, they not only survive and persist, they thrive. They are survivors, they are leaders, their future as citizens in our society is without bounds. I believe that Foster is a place that Dr. King could not have imagined in 1968 because of its vast diversity, and it's not a place that I could have imagined as a young high schooler in Seattle in the 90s. I've never felt more challenged, inspired, and full as I have working at Foster, and it's been my greatest growth as an adult thus far, serving these young people through the teaching profession. It's also a great gift, and I chose to become a teacher because of my strong belief in education as a civil right for all people, and my hope to interrupt and challenge a system that is not always set up for all students to be successful. I'm proud of the way young people in our high school are able to thrive despite the obstacles placed in front of them: poverty, hunger, abuse, experience with war, gun violence, deportations, drugs, transience, unemployment, and eviction are some of the common realities in the building that I teach. And sadly, I know that students like ours at Foster are not the only students in our state facing these challenges. My students and their families, they are victims of years of structural and institutional racism, and I'm often amazed at how my students make it through the day-to-day when I know their basic needs are not always being met. They are resilient, and even though I cannot control what happens once they walk off our campus, all of us have a collective responsibility to ensure that when they are members of our captive audience in our classrooms and on our public school campuses, they are safe and they are well cared for. This, I believe, is one of the ways we can combat forces that are oftentimes beyond our control. All students, but especially students coming from less than ideal circumstances, they deserve small class sizes where they can get the one-on-one attention they deserve and need to be successful. Being a teacher is not easy, and being a teacher of color has its own challenges. I arrived in 2005 as the only certificated Chicana on my staff in my high school. And we've grown that number to 6 through hard work and mentoring, but it's not enough. All students in our state deserve to see themselves reflected in their school teachers and positions of power, and we must do a better job to attract, train, and then retain teachers of color. We must do a better job to create a teaching force that matches the students we serve. It's not simply enough to attract quality teachers of all backgrounds, but once they're inside of our classrooms, we must keep them there. Teachers and education support professionals must feel supported and respected for the work we do. We must be compensated not only fairly, but competitively in a way that reflects the work we do. One of our greatest charges in American society is the education of our young people. We can infer that the authors of our state constitution certainly believe this as they penned, and I quote, "It is the paramount duty of the state to make ample provision." Ooh, that could have been bad. Let me start again. It is the paramount duty of the state to make ample provision for the education of all children residing within its borders without distinction to preference on account of race, color, class, or sex. Every person living in the state benefits from a well-educated citizenry, and we have so much to gain from doing it well. I've dedicated the last decade of my life to my students and families I've grown to love. and have no doubt that the young people that I work with deserve more. The Washington State Legislature has a unique opportunity to do right by every student in our state. In fact, I'd say they have a moral imperative to do so. I urge legislators to heed the words of the speakers today. This includes safe space for students, the preparation and retention of the best educators in our nation for our students in Washington State, and competitive wages to keep these educators in the classroom. Dr. King said, "The time is always right to do what is right." Lawmakers, we are waiting.